Hello and welcome to episode 99 of the Dash News podcast. I'm Mark Mason and I'm joined by my fellow co-host Joel Valenzuela. How's it going, Joel?
It's going peachy.
Excellent. And we have a special guest for episode 99. Wow, we made it this far. I'd like to welcome Demelza Hayes to the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate coming on Dash, the Dash podcast. This is awesome.
Yeah, and this was actually like a community-led, by request. They wanted you on the podcast. They've seen you, they follow you, and it was requested, and I'm so happy that you came on. You're a really busy bunny, so like there's lots of stuff about you online on the internet, and I was trying to think how best to introduce you. So I was trying to do a bit of research. So is it okay if we play a quick game of true and false? Because there's a lot of info about you, and I just want to get to the bottom of it. So
I've never started an interview with true and false. Let's do it.
Okay, true or false? You attend the University of Liechtenstein.
I do. I'm a doctoral student, but I also am a teacher here. So I'm on the faculty. I teach the course on blockchain technology, which we've had for 3 years.
Wow. Okay. Is it true that you're a fund manager at Incremental?
That is also true. So Incremental is a fund management company that's been around since 2013 in Liechtenstein. And when I moved here in 2016, I contacted them and asked for a job.
Okay. Is it true that you are the author and researcher at Crypto Research Report?
That's true. Okay, so the Crypto Research Report has multiple authors, but I'm the editor and I write a lot of it. That's true.
Okay. Is it true that you're included in the Forbes 30 under 30 for all of Europe?
That is true. Yeah, I just got that award recently, so that's also true.
Wowzers. Okay, this one's a curveball.
Okay.
Is it true you once attended Porkfest in New Hampshire and was on a talking panel with Jeffrey Tucker?
I was. That was a long time ago, but that was lots of fun. I think that must have been 2015, but that was big fun. Yep.
Okay. And last one, and it's a goodie. Okay, you ready for this? Is it true you once wrestled an evil troll horde on Twitter?
Once or twice. One recently, actually. I think like 3 hours before we had this, before we met right now.
It's okay. Just wait for the sun to come out. They'll turn to stone.
Excellent. So you do so much. What do you dedicate most of your time to? Because you must be working around the clock. So I'm guessing Incrementum's your main bread and butter, correct?
Exactly. So, I mean, right now, the Crypto Research Report is pretty much where I spend most of my time, because if I write something and it's published, I just can't sleep at night if I don't write it to the best of my ability. Whereas with my doctoral dissertation, I can kind of always say I'll do it tomorrow, and I can still sleep at night even though tomorrow never comes, kind of thing, you know? So okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm working on that as well, but with the Crypto Research Report, because we publish it quarterly, I really I have like a little bit of a fire under my bum to make sure that's like top notch, top quality.
Did I miss anything out? I know you're a busy bunny, but are you doing anything else that I should mention or is worthy of mentioning? Because I think I saw when I was researching you that you're a member of the Mises Institute as well. Is that correct? Oh, have we lost you?
Okay.
You're right. Can you hear me?
I'm sorry. My internet must be going out a little bit here. You said, I can hear you now. You said, am I up to anything else?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, basically, let's see. I also did. Okay.
It's in and out a little bit.
Bad here. Let's see. I also for a while. Maybe I also managed a Bitcoin ATM. I put the first Bitcoin ATM in Liechtenstein. And I also do all sorts of random blockchain-related events, like blockchain-related things. I mean, like, for example, like the Liechtenstein government had like a blockchain working group where we advised them on their blockchain gazettes, their blockchain law. I was part of that, gave them feedback on the economic side of that. Also organizing blockchain meetups. I used to organize them in Liechtenstein before I stepped down. So I mean, like, I've been kind of all over and reducing. Lately, I've actually been reducing my workload so that I can go to the gym for the first time and try to like also have a life outside of blockchain. But this is just the past 3 months I've explored.
Take note, Mark. Take note.
Right, let me get a pen quick. So you're in Liechtenstein now. How did you end up there? Because I'm presuming from your accent that you're originally American. Is that right?
Exactly, that's right. I'm from Florida, but actually I came to Liechtenstein in 2014. That was the first time I came here. I came for a conference on philosophy. So they have, like, the princely family here has a think tank called the, oops, I'm in the dark. The think tank here. I'm sorry, guys. Right before this interview started, I locked myself in the cafeteria at my office because it's 9 p.m. here and everyone's gone home for the weekend, and the door closed behind me, and now I'm stuck here. But anyways, so 2014, the princely family here, they have a think tank called the European Center for Austrian Economics Foundation, and I came to a meeting here, and then I kind of at that moment decided this is where I wanted to live and be and work and be an entrepreneur here. And the government was super friendly towards blockchain. And it was just kind of like a really easy transition. Yeah.
Did you study in France as well? I read on one particular bio. Is that true?
I did. Yeah. My master's degree was at the Toulouse School of Economics in France. And also, like, my connection to London is that my doctoral supervisor is at Imperial. He's the something development center of fintech something. I don't know. He used to be the Commodities Futures Trading Commission chief economist in the US, and then he moved to Imperial. So because of that, I also do like Chatham House meetings on blockchain with the SEC and with the Bank of England and random central banks. And so I've somehow I have like an Austrian kind of laissez-faire background, but I somehow made it into mainstream economics group. So it's been a really interesting run.
Yeah, this is the fascinating thing, and this is why I'm so happy to have you on, because you've actually got that insight into institutional investment, but also kind of the central bankers' kind of mindset and sentiment towards cryptocurrency as well. And not many people have that inside track. So, and also being a fund manager as well, Incremental, you have to look at blockchain and cryptocurrency projects, and you got to get past that fluff. And there's so many projects out there, and you can have a whiz bang, really nice, spectacular website, and then you can get the white paper, and there's just like no substance at all. Mm-hmm. So as you're doing all these research reports, crypto research reports, how do you approach researching these projects? Because you need to look at it from a kind of like legal standpoint as well, right? Especially if you're going to be advising in terms of investment. How do you go about looking at projects and seeing if they're good or bad? Like, what's your formula?
Well, it would be a really broad umbrella if we could invest legally in any crypto asset, cryptocurrency, but because we're a regulated AIF fund, we can only invest in coins that our custodian bank can actually execute trades with. So that means that they have to be able to prove to the financial market authorities that they can do secure storage, and because they can fulfill their role as a custodian, their legal role as a custodian. So generally, we ask them what coins are we allowed to invest in, and then what coins are you working on technologically, so that during the next 6 months to a year, you expect to add to the list of those coins. And then we kind of focus on those. That's where we spend most of our labor hours, so that we're not doing tons of research.
I think your internet connection dropped there for a second. Yeah, your internet connection dropped for a second.
It goes in seem to go in waves.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can close out some extra tabs. Maybe close out the onion. I know that's a page turner, but
yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating. I think as soon as you said custodial, I think probably everyone watching in the Dash community straight away thinks about BitGo, because we had BitGo add Dash towards the end of last year, and that was like a really big thing for us. And we're starting to see the first services that are utilizing BitGo, but of course from a institutional perspective as well. That's a good thing. So how do you feel in terms of custodial services for financial institutions to invest in cryptocurrency? Do you think it's in a good state of affairs, or do you think there's still a lot more that needs to be done? Is it really accessible now? Is it being utilized?
I mean, I think I'm not really sure about outside of Liechtenstein and Switzerland, but I mean, basically, so hedge funds, they don't have to have the assets stored by an external custodian, like that is regulated as a bank. Whereas under the AIF and UCITS, like directives from the European Union, you need to have a custodian bank. And from my understanding, still the only custodian bank that is willing to fulfill this role is Bank Frick in Liechtenstein. And that's why all the crypto funds are basically trying to come out of Liechtenstein. I mean, there's tons of hedge funds, but the crypto funds that can actually pitch to institutional investors like insurance companies and pensions and endowments and everything like that, they need a custodian bank where the assets are ring fenced, so that if that custodian bank goes bankrupt, it's not going to impact the funds of the clients, like the stocks or the bonds or whatever the clients hold, the gold or the cash assets, whatever they hold in the fund. So it should be ring fenced assets. And from my understanding, Bank Frick has not made progress with Dash. I briefly reached out to them and asked them about Dash because I did an interview a while ago where I mentioned that Bank Frick wasn't accepting Dash still. And then members of the Dash community reached out to Bank Frick and said, hey, look, what's going on? Like, let's figure this out. And the last time I spoke to our relationship manager there, what they said was that if they get enough demand, there's no problem. They'll take care of it. But then I found out that actually they're not even taking all of the Bitcoin from people that come to them because they cannot prove where the Bitcoin were. So what I received information from someone at the bank that works there, they said that what they do is they have to go through a test of the person's Bitcoin and other crypto that they bring into the bank. And if that test gives them a measure above a certain threshold, then it's okay. But if it falls below that threshold, then it's considered like not KYC AML approved. And that's with Bitcoin. So they said that Dash, because of that privacy option, it's like far away from being accepted, even though our banking relationship manager said that it's only because there's not enough demand for it. But I don't know what's going on.
That's shocking. So you mean if I rolled up to that bank account with wads of dinosaur paper money, dirty cash, and saying, you don't know the history of this, you don't know where this $50 bill's been in and out of, but I'm sure they would take that, right? What's the difference? It's just digital cash.
I totally understand what you mean, but I do think they would actually have to watch out for where your cash comes from as well. I mean, Liechtenstein used to not watch out so much, but they got in big trouble for that. So
yeah, they just grab the piece of paper and give it a couple sniffs and be like, it's fine. I don't know what the cash origin test is, but that's what I do.
Yeah, like, because this must be really frustrating for me, because I can tell from talking to you, you've been bitten by the crypto bug, and I can see from your Twitter feed, you've really, I think you got into Bitcoin around 2013-ish from tweets and stuff that I read of yours. Okay, so you've obviously been into this and you passionately believe in it, because like everything you've been doing since 2013 has been around cryptocurrency, pretty much. So where do you see this going? Do you actually see a bright future? Is this going to turn a corner? Because right now it's just obstacle after obstacle. Do you see a light at the end of the tunnel?
Oh, I totally do. Well, I mean, for me, this is just like the best thing. I'm happy actually with the progress that we've made. I-
I'm sure it's all very fascinating, and we'll hear when she comes back.
into the oh, we still did I lose you?
Minor
Sorry,
interruption, yes.
Yeah, your connection dropped again, and we missed all the goodness. If you would like, I can just talk to Joelle for 5 minutes if you want to try and escape the room or try to get someone with a better connection.
Maybe I might need to try to escape this room. I'm really not sure about this now because my laptop is running out of battery.
Yeah, the key is taped under the table, and that opens a vault which has another key. No, it doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah, well, if you want to take 5 minutes and try and find a battery source and trying to escape the room, and I'll just talk to you about stuff that's happened this week in Dash, and and then hopefully,
don't worry, there's tons to talk about, and we don't shut up. So we're just gonna pretend it's just the two of us for a little while, and yeah.
All right, thank you so much. 1 second, just let me.
No problem.
Yeah, no problem at all.
So, Mark, what's happened with Dash lately?
Oh my God,
so much stuff.
It's never a dull day in Dash, let alone week. Even today, we put three postings out on Dash News today.
Mm-hmm.
One being a video interview with
Guy Barège.
And do you know what? I didn't even know you did a video interview with him because I've been working with him uploading listings to discoverdash.com. Because for those that don't know, in France, there's over 10,000 locations where you can buy Dash from tobacco shops of all places. But
yeah, that's the US. I guess that's the tobacco shops or the French equivalent of convenience stores. In that, just like, well, that's because so much of France smokes. Less so now, but every time I smell cigarette today, it still reminds me of my time living in France because that's the smell. So that's where you get your crypto, and it's pretty interesting because we've had a few things like this happen around the world, where, I mean, we had, I believe it was in Ukraine, there was a place you could have a bunch of kiosks you could buy crypto from, and not quite ATMs, but kiosks. And then, of course, there's a million ATMs all across Austria. There's a bunch of, was it in Brazil somewhere? I believe there was a few point of sale things where you could buy Dash as well, through BitNovo in Spain. You can just go and buy physical gift cards, little vouchers, and then put in even a Dash text number. So you send money to Venezuela. You just buy with cash in Spain, and then you just send it right to some flip phone owning person in Venezuela. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good stuff. And so this
Bitpanda.
Yeah, Bitpanda too. Bitpanda's pretty good. Yeah. Bitpanda's pretty good. So this stuff is Bitpanda to go at Austrian post offices, which I guess is
1,350. I think it was. Jan's gonna kill me if I got that number wrong, but it's somewhere around there.
It's something like that. And yes, he will probably kill you. But it's just at another random location. It's like, where do you buy decentralized digital currency? Oh, from a bank? Well, no. From a electronics store? No. How about from where you buy, where the cigarette shops and government, like the oldest form of government-controlled communications platforms?
Yeah.
The old mail. So that's fantastic. And that's one of the things that this digital services group does is digicode. And they also have an exchange, and they also have a service that allows them. It's like a brokerage service. It's like a expedited exchange. And so, like the exchange is called Zebitex, and the brokerage service is called the perfectly named Z-Bitcoin, which is for a French company owned by French people. Like, it sounds oddly self-aware. It's a little too, it's pretty jokey.
Yeah. You just reminded me as well. Like, when you mentioned Brazil, I think it's Coin BR. Like, you can pay your bills in Dash in Brazil because they issue their bills with barcodes. They have a certain standard, so you can do that. But yeah, DigiCode is really good, and we've already started adding listings to Discover Dash, and there are instructions in there in à la française. So yeah, it's really simple. So yeah, it's a similar process to BitNovo. These are like gift cards, and I believe they come in $20, $50, and then 200. Oh, sorry, 20 euros. 50 euros and 200 euros. Sorry, my bad.
Upset someone. It's going to be le triggering.
But that's the thing. Like, you don't. It's just fiat currency. You're exchanging that, and then you can then redeem that for Dash. So yes, we're going to be gradually adding more locations, and then hopefully in the future we're going to have Bitpanda and everything as well. So lots of goodies and exciting things to come. And of course, that's going to get pushed out to the Discover Dash mobile app on Android. If you haven't downloaded that and you've got an Android device, go to the Google Play Store and put in Discover Dash, download the application, and you can find Dash merchants, ATMs near you. And speaking,
Mark's home address. Oh no, it's not on there yet. Pretty soon.
And speaking of ATMs, Demelza is back. So I didn't know that you owned it and set up like the first ATM there. Do you still own and operate an ATM?
No, I don't. No, it's unfortunate, but I no longer do. It was lots of fun.
Someone stole it?
No, nobody stole it. Actually, at the end of 2017, the company that stored it, they got lots of angry customers because we had it in the middle of like the tourism area in Liechtenstein, and we weren't like, people didn't know how to use the machine because like whenever they would put whenever they would sell Bitcoin, you know, it would take time for it to confirm in the network, and then they want to get their money right away, and then they would say that we stole their Bitcoin, and then they didn't realize that they had to wait for like an hour.
Wow.
So,
I wonder how we could solve a problem like that. Instant permanent settlement.
uh-oh, Spaghetti-O.
Just saying. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So did you manage to escape the room and get the power thing sorted, or are you still in this horror movie scenario?
It's really it's not looking good right now, but I got a smile on, which is good. No, I'm thinking what's gonna happen is, like, I messaged my partner at Incremental and told him I'm stuck in this room, and he's got like 13 minutes to get me out of here. You know, it's like a real like puzzle. It's like one of those like puzzle games where you have to like unlock all the right doors, or like, otherwise I die. You know?
I mean, it is Friday evening, so does he think you've been celebrating already?
I don't know. I told him I had an interview, and I walked into the office like at 3 p.m. and I was like, I got an interview, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh wait, no, it's in 6 hours from now. Yeah, so lots of fun.
That is pretty entertaining.
Right. So I think before we got cut off, we was talking about reviewing cryptocurrency projects and stuff, and how you go about it. So when you look at these projects and you're writing up these reports, do you contact the cryptocurrency teams yourselves, or do you just look at the GitHub, the development, the white papers, the website, the community for sentiment? Like, how do you go about it in general?
That's a great question. I mean, we've tried many different indicators. Okay, so my first indicator that I was really interested in was basically hash rate. So looking at how hash rate could be used to kind of time your investment. For example, if hash rate moves in a certain way, does that mean that the price will move in a certain way? And then can that help you time? Like, because we already knew which coins we wanted to go after, but then we had to figure out the timing of when we wanted to make our positions. And hash rate ended up not being that great of an explanatory variable for price. I think that it depends on, for example, like the hash rate that you see today is not what is going to determine the price tomorrow, because the hash rate that you see today is actually the result of decisions that was made like 9 months ago or 6 months ago. You know, it's not like a very quick correlate, like a quick causality. So it's kind of more of like, in econometrics, it's called like using a lag to determine the variable's impact on the dependent. But also, it's not always that great of an indicator, because you have like coins that can be like for example, you have a lot of coins where it's easy to nice hash them. So the hash rate can be easily purchased offline through, cloud mining and then be used to target any coin. So that's not that great of an indicator. The next one that we started looking at was network effect. So we tried to see if we could estimate how big the network of a coin was, and we looked at transaction.
It's like intermittent fasting. You only have to deal with it for a short burst.
Oh, lost.
Yeah, we lost you for a brief second again there. Patience is a virtue.
Yeah.
But we got you back. We got you back, so that's good.
Okay. Well, hopefully once my boss gets here, I can switch into another room. But yeah, generally,
yeah.
Okay, let's tell him I'm here.
You're like SOS, SOS. It's happening again. But
okay, so anyways, yeah, then we looked at network effect, we looked at on-chain transaction volume, and also active user addresses that had more than a higher than a zero balance, I think. And that was also interesting, but not that interesting, because, for example, like you would see with like Bitcoin Cash, you would see like with that number, you would see that it was like, it looked underpriced, according to the mean, because that assumes that it's mean reverting when you get that ratio, like market cap divided by number of users. So for example, like with Facebook, the calculation is that it's worth, what is it? I think it's worth 500 billion. And it's
something ridiculous. Some crazy stratosphere number.
It's worth 500 billion, and then it's got 2 billion users. So the network effect, like the network ratio, would be 250. And when you do that with the cryptocurrencies, for example, Bitcoin Cash, it looked underpriced compared to its mean, but that could also simply mean that people are already pricing in that it's not going to have a network in the future. So it's not that good of an indicator either. Yeah, but let's see. Then what we did was we moved on to market sentiment. So kind of studying Twitter and studying Bitcoin Talk and like different, and Reddit, just studying different forums. And that's been quite helpful at predicting when the price goes down, but it hasn't been really helpful predicting when the price goes up. So
how does it help when the price goes down? What kinds of things would you see?
Well, what you can do is you can take kind of all the Twitter feed and then kind of take the posts that use certain keywords and then see if they're negative or positive. And then you make a ratio of negative to positive posts. And then how it was helpful was that if, for example, if we saw like a huge spike in negative posts about a certain coin, the next day the price would drop. And it was statistically significant.
So FUD really works.
FUD really works. At least it did. I mean, these things always change over time, but it's historically, it has been statistically significant for predicting price drops.
So if you're looking for fair coin value, and I think there is a website like that, which kind of has like the coin market cap ranking listings and stuff, you have to take in many factors, like the transaction count. Are people actually using it? So, and I guess whether a market's going up or down, this is important, right? And it's all about the utility. And that was one of the things I was thinking going into this podcast, because although I'm fascinated to learn about the asset management side of things and the institutional money, ultimately, and please don't take this the wrong way, for me, although many people are bullish and they want the institutional money to come in because they see that as a very positive bullish sentiment, right, for the markets to go up, ultimately, I want mainstream adoption. I want everyday users. I want me, my mom, my dad, my granny, the person down the street. I want everyone using it. And that's what we need to get to. But it seems like most people, it's always the chicken and the egg problem. People seem to be at this stage saying, well, when institutional money starts coming in, that's the time to buy. But I fear people sitting on the fence may actually miss out. But I try to be a bit careful because when it starts talking about like financial advice, you've got to be super careful. So this isn't professional financial advice from me personally. So yeah. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, me neither. No financial advice. But I do think that, historically, institutions, they invest pro-cyclically. So they only invest once the market's gone up. And they only sell once the market's gone down. And I would not follow that same strategy. I would invest counter-cyclically if I was personally in my decision. I would try to front run the institutions.
Yeah. Right, have we got you back? We lost you again. The time must be running out on the laptop. Oh, we got you back. Yeah, we lost you again. It's all right. It's quite funny.
This is really most.
How long do you have left on the laptop
sorry,
now?
This is really bad, but
It's like
I'm increasing my scarcity here, you know. So it's a scarce supply.
Your value is going up because you're becoming more scarce.
That's it.
Yeah, how's the oxygen supply in that room? It's holding up.
I know you guys are gonna like live cast like it's over.
Man, this is gonna go viral. We're gonna get so many hits. Sorry.
No, well, you know we pull it offline so the whole world doesn't have to see anyway.
Yeah, that's good. But I get credit for being employee of the month because I'm still working even though I'm like stuck in this like little cafeteria room at 9 p.m. But yeah.
Right. So let's talk about cryptos that you like before we get into ones that you don't. So what cryptocurrency projects are you an advocate of? I know you have to be blockchain agnostic in your job, but you must have a preference. You know, if we were BFFs, best friends forever, and we're out on the town and I said to you, hey, I've got $10,000.
Oh,
how should I
your phrasing of this is pretty off. It's pretty hard to be compliant there. Let me.
I'm just saying.
Let me give a crack at it. What are some cryptocurrencies that have popped out at you for whatever reason in a positive way? Like, this one caught my attention. You could think they're complete garbage as a whole, or think they're going to zero, or whatever. But things that stuck out as like, this is interesting about this. This is a good thing. Oh, I'm impressed with this one. Which coins have impressed you and why?
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know if I should mention specific coins, but I'll definitely mention broad economic ideas that I follow.
Yeah, sure. That's a good. It's like playing game, like the whole what was it? Truth or Dare Mark was playing earlier, or true or false type thing. We can play a game. It's like
it's guess who. So you got to describe the coin. Okay, yes. I like this game.
Like, yeah, without giving any clearly identifying information, just describe what you like and don't like, which ones you like and don't like. Oh, there's this one that like ends with Iot coin and is no. Yeah,
exactly. No, I mean, I like coins that, I mean, personally, this is just personally, I like coins that have proof of work as the algorithm. And I totally like Dash's solution as well, with the proof of work and the master nodes. I just think this is really clever. But I like generally some tie to the miners having to buy external resources. I just think this is really important for fair distribution of the coins.
Yes, absolutely. And to interject there, that's one reason I always say pure proof of stake means that there's no way to get involved with it without buying from someone who already has some. So it's entirely dependent on the people who already are existing holders.
Exactly. And with pure proof of stake, the incentive structure is set up so that the users already involved don't want to sell to new users. So I love proof of work because you can continuously get new people involved that were not previously involved. So I think that's great. I also go for coins that have a decreasing inflation rate over time. I think that that's really important. Or basically like limited supply, scarce supply, or capped supply. Basically, where like coins where they can be created infinitely. It's hard for me to see the difference between that and a coin with a single point of failure. let's see. I also go for, I personally like privacy coins. So I am also very much into privacy coins. Yeah, so I mean, those would be for me the three kind of features. I mean, I like, of course, obviously decentralized public blockchain coins. I don't like private, federated blockchain coins. Or, I'm not really into federated.
There we go. Little popcorn break for a second here. Crunch, crunch, crunch. But I am thinking up a good.
Guys, I wanted to say my battery is about to. And also my battery is about to die. Computer.
It's all right.
My battery is about to die on my computer.
Okay.
You could.
I might need to run away and come back.
Yeah. Why don't you go for that?
And then just
why don't you go for that? You already give us plenty to chew on, so we'll chew on that while you're gone.
Okay, thanks, guys. I'm so sorry about this.
No problem.
No, that's all right. Hope to see you soon.
Preserve your oxygen.
Come back ASAP.
Anyway.
Right. So Joelle,
Yeah.
what are your, if you had right? I like my question. So like,
okay.
If I was your friend and I wasn't in cryptocurrency and I came to you and we was at the pub and I was just like, Joelle, I really wish I listened to you, but now I want to get into this crypto game. I've got 10K US dollars. How should I diversify? What should I do? What would you say?
Yeah. So what I would,
and you like me as well.
Yes,
you need to remember that.
Of course, I'm not going to give advice to people I don't like. If they don't like me, I'm like, what should I do? Like Tonevay's like, what shall I invest in? I would either just not say, just be like, I'm not talking to you. I don't like you. Or I'd be like, well, let's get him to buy something that will make me like him. You know, it's like one or the other. I'm not going to just hurt people, not even Tonevay's. Anyway,
yeah.
So, by the way, it's funny how similar my Tonevay's and Bernie Sanders imitations are, but that's for a different day. So what I would honestly do, and first off, I'd always give the big thing of do your own research, not investment advice. I'm not a certified investor or whatever that means, and I think it's nonsense anyway. But my personal opinion, the other thing is I am not a trader, so I don't know the rest of the field. I know the cryptoverse pretty well as far as like what jet coins are out there, what do they kind of do. Regarding the transactional type coins, the money coins, I know more than a bit. Like I know how they work, I know the fee structure, I know the scaling plans, I know like all that kind of stuff. I know, who controls them despite them being called decentralized. I know a lot of those kinds of things. And the other thing is I don't know what your time frame for profit is too. So like I won't just say, oh, buy these ones and then like within a year or two, what's it going to be? It's like, well, I could tell you within like 10 years for sure. A lot of them. I'm like, these ones look pretty good. So first off, I would just say, look, I have Dash. I use Dash. I work for Dash, and that's kind of it. So it should tell you a little bit about my personal perspective that I don't really. First off, that I put my money where my mouth is. I like Dash for a lot of reasons, and especially I feel uncertain about trying to invest in other ones right now because the giant killer use case of cryptocurrency is currency. It's money. It's being used as a decentralized store value and payment system. And we're kind of all still storing most of our value in fiat currency and spending all our stuff in fiat currency. So until we figure that out, which I think Dash is good, it's like, I don't know. I'm kind of not very into very many other things. I don't know. I'd probably say invest in a few of the different privacy coins. I do think that that's something Demelza got right. I would say privacy coins, they just pass the stiff test of it seems like they're serious, right? It seems like they're not just like, oh, we just like copy and pasted a thing. Oh, we just like, dumb hype. It's like they seem to be actually researching and doing audits and things like that and just like figuring out how this actually works. I would definitely do that. So Dash, of course. Privacy coin. I would say governance coin, but provided that the coin does something. There's a lot of coins with like governance that just kind of govern themselves and like, well, what is it for? Well, it's coin, right? Yeah, but do you like buy stuff? I don't know, maybe. All right. I don't care. So I'd say those kinds of things. It would be good to get into something that has a purpose and is like a governance coin type thing.
So you'd be like, you know, why would you buy something that you don't understand? But then you'd also be a fan of the test drive, saying like, don't go in balls deep. Try a few different ones and see what works best, and have a play.
And also like hedge your bets a little bit, right? It's just generally it's like insurance in case you completely screw up. So like for example, someone could say, you know, I'm just like amazed at Dash. You just have all your stuff in Dash, and then what happens if like, you know, Evan rides a comet into the core offices and destroys all the developers, and then it gets declared a scam by the IMF or something like that, and then just things go off, and then people just start incorporating all Dash's features into Bitcoin Cash. I mean, that's already started, but and then just the momentum goes over there, and that's what wins. Like, yeah, there's always a possibility that, you know, the best right now is not going to win out. So if you'd say like Dash is the most amazing digital cash in the world, all right, put a lot in there then, and then start looking at the other ones that are good for payments like that you see a future in. Like things like, I wouldn't say like I like to talk smack about Litecoin just because I don't think that a lot of people involved in Litecoin are serious about it. Like I don't think they're trying their best at making like a peer-to-peer digital cash. I would even say that BTC with the off-chain scaling nightmare and all that kind of stuff is much more sincere about it than Litecoin. So I'd pick like a couple, you know, Bitcoin Cash seems to be doing great. Bitcoin SV, I really don't understand the point of it other than like a ghetto Bitcoin Cash, but maybe they're right about something. Maybe they're just right about having patents for everything. Who knows? So, you know, do something like that and then look at the privacy coins. Like if something's like a complete nonsense thing, don't do it. And then just like find one that's like the best and then just hedge into another couple. Like, you know, like I did not look into Grin or any of the Beam or any of the Mimblewimble things. It didn't seem appealing to me because of some red flags on the way technology was structured. It didn't seem appealing long term. And I was like, why make a whole new coin after like one little feature? You know, one trick pony. But you could just be like, all right, well, this is the best. Like you could say Dash, if you were to call Dash a purely privacy coin, but that's not the reason you're involved. But if you're gonna categorize it as that, you'd be like, well, this is the best coin mixing based coin out there. And you just be like, all right, that seems pretty cool. I'm gonna try it. Never been broken, whatever. You're gonna just try that. And then, well, then there's like someone's using ZK snarks or whatever, zero knowledge proofs. All right, which is the best of those? Let's check out that one a little bit too. And then you're like, well, I don't know, someone says something about ring signatures or bulletproofs or whatever. I'm going to check out that one too. So you just that's kind of how I'd structure the thing generally. But the biggest thing though, I would just say if you try to use a coin, it doesn't work. Don't just get away from it. Like try it. If it's shit, it's not good. If it's not working, don't put any money because I hear the people to say, and it's like, what are the state of the wallets or anything? But after that big ramble, answering your question.
So 10K Dash then.
Yeah, something like that. Well, I mean, that's what I would do, honestly. And this is what I would do. And someone who's a little less in the woods and like can maybe like, I don't know. Like, and this is thinking of and about it. This is not, again, not giving any particular person investment advice. If I were not this involved with Dash and knew so much about what Dash is doing and seeing that it's like ahead of everyone else on just about everything. And what everyone else is doing, I might be a little bit ignorant on if you think about it, because I'm just not as into it. But so if I had a more neutral perspective, I was out and I was poking my heads into all the communities and stuff, maybe be like 7K Dash, 1K, 5K. Okay, well, how about this? 5K Dash, half of it, 2K Bitcoin Cash, 1K Bitcoin SV, 1K Zcash, 1K Grin, maybe. But I didn't even look into that enough. But like something like that then you got a good spread. You got the favorite one, the one that does everything, right? Okay, Dash Digital Cash. And then you got that one, but just because you're like, well, if this goes to the moon anyway, and half of all my stuff is in it, that's going to be great. So but then you kind of be like, well, what are the other digital cash things that could work? They're the front runners. All right, the next two, you put some in there, and then just throw some at some other privacy coins.
That's
something
the thing,
like that.
because
Something like that. I mean, that would kind of make you're targeting the right areas. Yes, not Hillary in the live chat says financial advice. Absolutely not. But that's just like my mental thing is like, and I don't have 10 grand to sink it anyway. But just like my mental map. And by the way, this is, and as I already disclosed, this is advice that I'm absolutely not following myself.
It's difficult though, because it depends who you're talking to, because it could purely be a speculative investment play.
Yes,
but really,
that's like my long term. That's like my long term thing, because I'm like, people need money and transactional things that work well. And if there's any kind of smart contracty type stuff, that can probably be built off of something solid first. And that might be an ignorant comment, but whatever. I'm just saying, at least that's a good base to, base value on. All values belief, right? Base your value on something that's easy to send and receive a lot, because that has value, payment system. And then something that's has that ability to have private sources of truth, which is like financial, or you could just talk about store of data that you don't want the whole world to see, or you could talk about communications, right? All that, but that private thing, those are the areas I'd attack like long term. Now, if you're talking about 1 to 2 years or 2 to 5 even, what's going to make you the most money? No clue at all.
I would come at it from a different angle. I'd be like, is this for investment, or are you looking to actually, are you asking me which cryptocurrency is the best one to replace with your fiat bank account? Which one do I feel is best suited? Yeah, exactly. That actually functions money, that you can actually spend on things, has services, has utilities, and you actually feel comfortable that you could live on 100% without being dependent on the fiat banking system.
Yeah,
which cryptocurrency can you unbank yourself with? And then that really limits your options straight away.
Of course. And I did that purposely in my own life. Bitcoin. Oh, wait, that stopped working. Dash. There you go. Solved. There might be other things you can do now, but like you're trying to go after network effects are so important in currency. You don't want money that you can't really use anywhere. That's really hard to use. So, okay, well, I'm going to do crypto, which is already limited. So I'm going to go straight for Bitcoin. That's the biggest one. And then now it doesn't work for currency anymore. All right, let me try something else. And it's like, well, several years later, really new coins are not going to have caught up. Or if they have, I'll have to investigate. But for the most part, that's just that simple. Just a very logical, like linear path. Like if this, then that. And that's the thing, is when people, it's so easy for people to give their favorites and their kind of analyses of their favorites. Well, but they just say, I like this, and then just come up with a bunch of nonsense about why they like or don't like, which, by the way, all that could be very valid points. But the thought process is, I like this. And then you're like, now let me explore the ways. Why? Why do I like this? Okay, I'll start thinking. But it's not like, what do I like? And then you just put a series of criteria, and then you just end up in the trail to like, this is truth. All right, I guess this is truth. I did not decide it. My own criteria and values decided it for me. And so that's the thing, is it's very interesting what Demelza was saying about she likes the proof of work coins, likes the limited supply, and likes privacy. And
sounds like sound money to me.
Yeah, and so, but that's the thing is, and it's like there's so many coins that just don't do that. But first off, let's reflect for a second how much Bitcoin got right. Because first off, Bitcoin proof of work, all these other cryptocurrencies, they do other stuff, but like Bitcoin start with proof of work, and it's still like the gold standard, the digital gold standard, right? And limited supply of some kind. Maybe not necessarily fully limited, fully capped, but limited to some degree, right? Just there's not going to be that much. It goes down. It's constrained. It's going to have value. So it's scarce, and it's secure in a way that gets a decentralized distribution. Now, I wouldn't mind proof of stake in theory, except for the whole thing of you literally, the person who has the coins gets to decide who else will ever have any of the coins. And that's just pretty ridiculous. And you got to find something else that's like that works. And the good thing about proof of work is someone can eat. It's not just like hell, like complete chaos where anyone can just start spinning up coins everywhere and it just ruin the whole thing. It's still limited and secure, but anyone can just participate in it anywhere in the world and no one can stop them. Just someone can boot up a little jury-rig machine out of like baling wire and like aluminum foil or whatever, or aluminium as they say over in your part of the world, and just get a little like satellite, tap into the Blockstream satellite, whatever, all the buns, hand make a little ASIC thing and just point it to the Dash network, start running, and then just get Dash, and no one can stop them from it. Just no one. And then over time, they get like they get enough Dash for a master, like 1,000 Dash. And now then they just start not only getting more from that, and then they start throwing votes at stuff, and then they put in 5 Dash for a proposal and vote for their own proposal or whatever. Now they're like they're in it and no one could stop them. That's the decentralization part. So Bitcoin got so much of it right. Bitcoin got the proof of work, which is a necessity to real decentralization at this point until something better has been figured out. And it's not a guarantee of decentralization. And so you got that. And then you got the digital scarcity, and then Bitcoin's privacy. In the beginning, before people knew how this worked, people were saying Bitcoin's private because, well, no one knew who was behind the address, and it just could be anyone, and blah, blah, blah. And then people started getting better at analyses. Then they got HD wallets, where now you can just generate like infinite addresses associated to the one wallet. And okay, that's better. It's more private. But like Bitcoin was pretty private for a while, and now it's not like, I think it needs an upgrade in that term. So maybe it needs a little coin mixing or something. But I'm just saying, like, the whole principle is basically, and that's the thing that people, it's like digital currencies that have some kind of manner of decentralization or something. I mean, that's not necessarily that revolutionary to just try something like that. But the fact that Bitcoin got so many things right. Just the whole package deal is just so solid that just everything else got associated with kind of got lifted up. But also everything else around it did not rise to that same level because it's just hard to replicate that gold standard when you're doing a bunch of others, what you're just trying to deviate. And that's the thing that makes me really bullish on Dash is it feels like the evolution of Bitcoin. It feels like you got the same proof of work, the solid proof of work, the decentralization. You got the limited supply, even more limited than Bitcoin, but like the emission reduction is a little bit more reliable. And then you got better privacy. And then it just, other than that, it's basically Bitcoin, but like way, way smoother and better engineered and stuff. And so that's the thing is, I try to be like, oh, well, what about this smart contract thing here? What about this other thing there? But then there's all like, oh, this one had an ICO. That one is like delegated something. This has 7 nodes. This one, like, there's just all these things that are just like, no. And so when you start putting that criteria, when you turn on the CoinMarketCap shitcoin filter and get out of all this, only the proof of work coins are left. And then you're like, okay, well, something that has decent privacy or something advanced, well, then there's just like a couple of those. And then limited supply that doesn't just shoot out a bunch all the time. You got like 3 coins there. There's like 3 or 4 that are somewhere in that neighborhood. And it's not even like, well, which are my favorite now that we have these basic criteria of what's a good coin? It's just like, well, just literally put those in your slots. It's like you literally have no other choices now that you've come up with those criteria.
What about from a practicality standpoint? Say you make the switch to crypto, living off crypto. Now you're faced with the problem that traditionally there's lots of new services and tools available which weren't available before. So now the new trend is cryptocurrency loans. So we got recently within Dash Salt lending, and today with an article on the Celsius network. So beforehand, people, if you made the switch over, it would have been difficult for you to get a loan to buy a new car or a loan to get a mortgage to buy a property. But now that's no longer the case because now there are options available. So from a practical standpoint, unbanking yourself and living off with Dash, you can do that from a practicality point of view, and the barriers and hurdles that once were there are slowly getting pushed away. What's your opinion of all these cryptocurrency backed loans? Is that something that interests you? Because these are more services that we're seeing prop up everywhere now. So this seems to have a key market of interest.
Yeah. So to be on a very personal note, I am not a big proponent of loans and debt in general. And so my whole life I've bought everything. I've never owned a credit card at all. I've never had a line of credit. I finished university and postgraduate with no debt. I bought a car with no debt. Like, I have a couple times done personal loans or things like that, like between a couple, like a friend with some, usually like without even a signed piece of paper, or they're like, oh yeah, I'll give you, you know, but pretty much nothing. Like, I just don't like, for my like lizard brain that's just very like simple, I can't keep very much in it. I can't keep up with like, well, I got this, but I got to keep putting money into it because over there is like my negative money that exists. And it's just like, it's all so confusing. And it's so like, what if you lose your job and then all of a sudden you can't pay any of this stuff? And then you just don't pay it. Like, you can't extract from your soul. You can't like ever pay it back necessarily. Then you got to go through bankruptcy. And I did work for a bankruptcy attorney for a while. And just like the whole like option of like discharging all the debt, but then they take all this other stuff. And then you got this. And it's just like, oh, that just sounds like a mess. So I'm just very big advocate of work hard, make money, have what you own, live exactly within your means, and just be ready to just like sell everything you own and like move somewhere else, like New Hampshire, right? Just be ready to like boom, like, and just the digital nomad thing, living the Ken Bozak life. But yeah, I'm not going to repeat that. But as far as what this means for cryptocurrency becoming a significant part of the world, it's huge. It's absolutely huge, because most of the world is not like bizarre and like off the grid acting like me. Most of the world, you want a car and then you need it to get to your job, and you can't just like work from wherever or use a bus until you get enough for a terrible car. And like, you have to get a loan. You got to get a car loan. You got to pay a reasonable payment, and you got to make that. And if you have all crypto, it's like, what, you're just going to like sell it every time to pay off the loan in cash. Some people do that, but there's other ways of doing that, right? Or like, what happens if you have a giant chunk of cryptocurrency? And this actually happened to me one time, by the way. I was going to rent a spot, and because they're like, okay, well, and I like recent pay stub or whatever. Oh, well, I kind of get paid by a decentralized network. Like, I can't explain to you, lady. Like, okay, well then just some kind of proof of a bank account. I'm like, I can show you the crypto addresses if that helps. And it's like, I had to go find another place to live at that point, because just they wanted stuff that I didn't have. Now, of course, if you do have, say something through Salt, and you can get loans based on the, like, for example, you get a loan based on your thing and get like money in the bank to then show, oh yeah, now I actually got this. I can actually do this. You can get out loans for all kinds of stuff. It would really facilitate the way this current debt-based system works. So I think it's a trend. It's kind of like crypto loans are like crypto debit cards. Insanely useful in today's day. But aren't we trying to get away from this fake debt-based economy anyway, long term?
Yeah. Debt-based economy is MBG. No bloody good. So this week, on Wednesday, in fact, we had the block size reduction in terms of, sorry, not block size, block rewards reduction. So now, previously, where a miner and a master, a block reward would be around about like 1.7 Dash. Now it's like 1.55 Dash, around there, around that number. So traditionally, within Bitcoin, this has been looked at as a very bullish sentiment. I think John McAfee even made an own bet and put his own tackle on the line, right? So even
tackle and bait.
Yeah. So like last week, there was so much news and coverage about the Bitcoin halvening and saying that was to do with the uptrend in the market and the pricing. But the Bitcoin halvening, so the block rewards for Bitcoin reduces by 50% every 4 years. And the next one is due in May 2020. So it's a long way away. And lots of crypto publications were saying last week, and commentators were saying it was because of the halvening that's coming up was the indicator that helped push the market up. However, Dash, although we have one every like 383 days around there, only 7.14% reduction, it hasn't had any impact. Do you think there's like a delay, a lag? Like when it happened on Wednesday, did you just like shrug your shoulders like nothing was there? Or are you expecting there's going to be some kind of change in the market? Because miners that are getting these block rewards, I'm sure a lot of them are going to be putting them on the exchanges to sell. And although it's an incremental little bit less, that little bit less now going to exchanges, which means there's now going to be that little bit less liquidity on exchanges, which makes Dash that little bit more scarcer. So do you think there's going to be some kind of like change in the market, like price wise? Do you think there's like a lag effect like we saw after the Dash conference, and sometimes we have big updates?
Well, first off, yeah, I think there is a lag effect to these kinds of things. The Dash has never been one of those coins. Just the kinds of people that buy are just different. When you see price movements, it's a compounding effect. And I kind of feel like when you have lots of good news, it piles up and people pay attention, wait for their time to get in, and then get in, kind of thing. It kind of does that. Whereas the it's not a day trader coin. And I think that a lot of like news, boom, price, you get a lot of day trader stuff. Like when I wrote that article way back when about the Oasis darknet market that Monero was big on, exit scamming, and then the price of Monero after that article went out, just whoomp, went down. It's like, okay, well, clearly people are just waiting for news that just up and down on that. Now, so of course, I think these kinds of news for Dash specifically are a little bit more long term. But at the same time as like the constriction of supply, well, that's the thing, is it's supply versus demand. So like, for example, this is a little woolen, or it's a little crocheted treasure case, handmade.
I thought it was looks like a willy warmer.
Well, yeah, you know. I mean, now that you point it out, but there's only one of them in the world, as far as I know. It's the only one. It's hyper scarce. How much do you think I could sell it for?
Any bids in the live chat?
Yeah, I mean, not much. I mean, because some people would be like, some people would be, you know, But the point is, absolute scarcity doesn't have an effect on the price of things unless you contrast it with demand. So if, for example, like what happens if you have a very specific kind of, you just have like water with 3 basil leaves in it. 3, not 2, not 1, not 5, but 3. You just have water with some basil, like, no one's going to pay for that. First off, you can be replicated, but even if it's just like certain water from the certain this, no one cares because there's not a demand for it. Now, water, there's a high demand for. Everyone needs it, otherwise we die. But there's supplies everywhere. And so the price, but then you get to the desert or you have supply issues in pumping it, and all of a sudden it becomes extremely scarce. As they used to say in the Old West, whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting. So it's the same exact thing with this kind of thing. So with basically all that rambling and nonsense to answer the question about the Dash halvening or the block reduction, if there's less of it around, but the demand stays the same, the price should go up. The demand increases. You know, there you go. Then it goes up even higher.
Actually, have you checked out the Dash difficulty for mining? Because this week we did the article on China banning mining, and we know traditionally a lot of mining farms are based in China. So I don't know what kind of repercussions that's going to have, and So it'll be interesting to see the difficulty rate and see if that's had any impact. Now, I know there's been people come out saying that news is not necessarily FUD, but it's kind of like a nothing burger. I think Box Mining did a video, I think I saw on Twitter, it put a clip up just saying that, you know, it's kind of, he thinks miners will just give out their old equipment and just say like, oh yeah, and it's just something for the government to show, and then everything's just going to continue as normal.
Yes. So over the weekend, to answer that, over the weekend, the Dash rate, the Dash hash rate, is kind of squish it together. The Dash rate and the difficulty, or the Dashiculty, hit new all-time highs. Or let me just be very clear about that. Not quite all-time highs, but new yearly highs for sure. I think the the all-time high was in November of this last year. So anyway, basically everything's been going up. I have not seen any kind of a significant drop off. So I don't think so. I don't think people are bailing yet. I think that people will keep on doing that until there is something that makes them actually bail.
Yeah, and having a high difficulty is kind of a good thing. It's good in terms of security, right? And Bitcoin said that was one of its main features in terms of having a high difficulty rate is its security aspect. So, which is true to a certain extent. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on that because, yeah, from what you're saying, then there seems to be no impact at all. So maybe the news out of China that everyone was talking about is a bit of a nothing burger as of yet. You know, they might start really clamping down on people in the following weeks, but so far, from what you're saying, it seems like that's had no impact at all. Right. So what else has been happening this week? So we obviously had the two lending services. So Salt Lending, which is a very, very popular outlet. They've got many followers, many people in the community I know are already utilizing their services. The one interesting thing, so we covered Celsius Network today, and that's interesting because it's not just crypto loans, but you can get interest as well, right? But the Salt Lending one was particularly interesting to me because although they support other cryptocurrencies, with the integration of Dash, they now have a new service specifically for Dash masternodes, right? And that's a new thing that they innovated especially for Dash, which is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another thing is there's a lot of in the world of crypto, there's a lot of ways of actually getting some money. There's a lot of ways of leveraging a profit from what you have. The biggest, I mean, of course, the biggest one is just holding on to it. You just hodl and then it goes up, or you hope it goes up. Sometimes it doesn't. But Dash, of course, has this curveball to the whole thing where now you just get paid to hodl in a very specific way, in a very specific quantity. And I mean, you really get paid to do the other stuff that you got to hodl for first. So basically, essentially, when you start, like, I know there were some people who were like, oh, I want a masternode or I want masternode shares, but I'm lending on Poloniex and the lending rate is just too high. It's just too good right now. Everyone's trying to short this thing. And so, and, you know, of course, it didn't work out for the shorters, but whatever. So there was something like that, a reason to have that. There's always opportunity cost. And you're like, well, let's see. I have, you know, 1,000 Dash, you know, so a little over 100 grand, 120 grand, whatever. I can, like, I want a expensive car, I want an expensive house, or, you know, I want a big ticket item of some kind. But I don't just, but like, I got to hold, it's binary. I got to hold on to the Dash and get that like recurring income and get the voting rights, be all part of the network, all that kind of stuff. Or I can just literally lose out on all that and just have some Dash and buy my thing. Well, now you can do both kind of with Salt because you can keep your masternode, not just the collateral, not just the 1,000 Dash. You can still have control over the recurring rewards that come from a masternode. You can still vote, and then you can still get like a loan out for some other stuff. So it allows you to kind of keep your place in the network and actually have credit that now you put the collateral for. Now you're good for it. It's very interesting. It'll really change a lot of the ways people do things. I think about what happens if you do a business, right? What happens if you're like a mining business or whatever, or some kind of a business, and you have a masternode as part of the business, and you're trying to obtain a loan to expand operations. But it's like, well, what do you got? Well, we got this ton of, this is like the business itself isn't worth a lot yet, but we do have this one thing. We do have this this lump sum, and it's paying recurring rewards. Like, it's paying part of our bills too. And so basically you just say, all right, we're going to put that up for collateral, and we're going to keep running our node, keep getting that returning, because every little bit of income counts when you're a struggling small business. So you get that little bit of rewards, keeping on coming in, but then you can still get loans off of that. So it sounds like an absolute win-win there. And
you're helping to support the network as well.
Yes,
being rewarded for helping everything else, making it more secure, more better. So yeah, happy days. I've just been looking at the live chat, and there's some really funny comments. And I hope this isn't the case, but someone's saying, like, call the police. Demelza is trapped. So I hope Demelza is okay. I've just realized the time. So like I think we're pretty much just over an hour into the podcast now. So I'm still hopeful that Demelza will come back. Lots of heavy debate about mining in the live Q&A, which is always interesting. I'm just going to check my Twitter DM to see about Demelza. So, okay, we'll be 10 minutes. Sorry. Okay. Well, hopefully she's going to be back shortly. Right. So what else has been happening in Dash? So
WikiLeaks
today was the big one. So how important is that for you? Are you good? Obviously, it's for the WikiLeaks shop, right? Which means you can buy merchandise, and some of that goes towards. There isn't an official donation in Dash, is there?
No. So the way this works is WikiLeaks apparently accepts payments through coin payments for their merchant site. And on the donation page, which they could also do coin payments, they don't. They have their own private keys, or I assume they have a bunch of donation addresses. They are for a few coins, excluding Dash currently. But I wouldn't expect them to actually do anything about it this quickly, because it's just literally been yesterday. I was pestering them. Hey, we want to be able to support you and support Julian Assange and all that in this time of trial, since he just got arrested and hauled out of the Ecuadorian embassy in London finally, which was very upsetting. So now you can actually use Dash to support in a small but meaningful way. You can actually use Dash to support the cause. And I know a lot of people have bought stickers already, bought t-shirts, bought other things like that. So it's definitely in Dash. So it's definitely moving along. So that's pretty good. And especially it's very telling, because it's very fitting, I should say, because a big part of WikiLeaks history has been enshrined in crypto, because you got because you have one of the most controversial. I don't like saying controversial, because that always sounds bad. Controversial is bad, but one of the most under heat organizations, one of the most doesn't give a crap organizations in modern history, riling up the most powerful actors in the world with no stops. And of course, they've suffered financially as a result, because they're going to pressure all the banks to shut off services, all the payment processors, everything like that. And that's exactly what happened. So they got into Bitcoin very early, and they actually profited from the big old spikes that we are all very aware of since its inception. And so it's been very integral to their continuing success. And then, of course, now they accept a few different cryptocurrencies. And if Dash is supposed to be decentralized money for the world, it has to be two things. It has to be decentralized, and it also has to be money for the world. And so Dash being this thing that's trying to be as palpable to the average user as possible, just like something that's like real normal money for real normal people who don't necessarily think the word decentralization or censorship resistant ever in their life. It can do that. But so just people pay with the money they got, except you can't stop it. And so that's exactly why Dash and WikiLeaks together makes a very good, makes me a happy bunny.
Yeah. I really liked your article on Monday, by the way, about Dash activate Sporks 15 and 16, deterministic master nodes, and instant send by default. This is huge, and it's the final part of the 0.13 upgrade, and yeah, it's such a big thing, and it seems like most of the crypto sphere isn't really awake to it, because instant send by default is huge. Like, this is massive, and crypto publications should be covering this left, right, and center, because this is what people have been crying out for, saying like, in a dream world scenario, this is what we would want. And it's like, now it's here on a platter.
Yes,
there's no waiting. It's here now.
That's the thing, though, is I don't care, because a lot of the time, the whole tech hype is like based on development, and people like pump the price on development news. But this is not so much of a development, like, oh, someone coded a new fancy thing. There's nothing really new or fancy. It's just the same old instant send, but just fine-tuned, better engineered, improved. And it's mostly like the user, like, honestly, the instant send by default could have probably been done years ago, if you think about it, like in terms of like the technology. You're like, all right, well, we made this. And I'm sure we have all the developers jumping up and down, screaming at me now, being like, "No, it wasn't that possible." But it's basically the same technology that now, instead of a manual tick, now is just default on the whole network, and it doesn't charge the extra fee. But it's the engineering of it that's fantastic. It's the fact that the magic of using it. It's not like you have to jury rig a thing, plug a thing into that, get it going, whatever. Now you send it, boom, you get it. Send, you get it. Send, you get it. And it's not just send, all right, cool, pending, let's get some confirmations, or send and get it. Or like, oh, my wallet can do the special tick thing that's like right away. Now it just all flows. And that's one of those things where we have a very tech hype-based space we're talking about here. And they're not going to get excited about it, because it's not some, all right, instant, we already get sent and it's already secure, whatever. Like, no one really cares. But what will start to happen is people will start to use various coins, sending and receiving, off of exchanges, off of other services. And eventually they're just going to be like, oh, I bought a gift card with Dash and it was right away, instant. And I didn't even know. And then, oh, I bought a plane ticket just right away. I didn't have to wait. I've never seen that before. What's up with that? Oh, I just moved something on the exchange. I was able to start trading right away. Oh, I just be able to move it right off the exchange right away. It's just, then people are going to start having more Dash. Well, Dash moves it faster, so I'm going to have more Dash. I'm going to have Dash, move it into Dash. I'm going to buy Dash so I can use it for these other things. And then that's when it has like that indomitable effect over time.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just worried. I'm just thinking about Demelza, because she hasn't got back to me, and it's not looking very good.
Yes, well, maybe we should appreciate her contributions that we've had so far, give her a nice little shout out, and then just wrap this whole thing up and speak about her memory and hope nothing ill happens to her.
Yeah, I hope she got out of that room okay, or the cafeteria. Well, if there's food in there and there's a coffee machine, I think she's going to be okay. There could be worse places to be locked in, right?
Yes, well, yeah.
Right,
That's
okay.
for sure. But at the very least, now you know, we don't do some pre-recorded nonsense. We don't do any of that kind of stuff. And
it's not pre-scripted. It's all informal.
We're talking to real people, and not like, hi, I'm here to promote my, it's like, oh yeah, she's pulling in late hours at the lab, and oh, I got locked in, and coffee machine, and say good at stuff, but then Liechtenstein's intermittent pulsating internet. And then
I've got a question for you.
Oh, you
really
do?
Random one. Put you on the spot. You can tell me to go away if you want. I keep getting messages from people in the community asking me about stable coins and my opinions and stuff. And because obviously they see the mechanism of fiat, while there's still so much dirty fiat out there and there's this transitional phase, of course there's going to be wild volatility in all cryptocurrency, right? Because there's still that transitional phase. Like we're minute considering to the other side, we're just a tiny speck. So having a stable coin as a mechanism to stabilize the situation, I feel like is a short-term thing, and it's not. I'd rather focus on the ultimate solution rather than a short-term fix.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And that's the thing that makes me think about is it's like, oh, if only we had a stable coin, if only we had this one thing, everything would be better. We'd be able to take this to the merchants, we'd be able to do everything. It's amazing. Yeah, no. I think stablecoin is a tool for a very specific problem and a very specific time and place. First off, for trading, you could trade fiat all day long. It's just more difficult due to regulations. And a little fiat associated pegged token, while not as good, I mean, I'm not saying, yeah, it's good, but it's not as good as fiat because it's supposedly backed by fiat, but not only fiat. And even then, it would only be fractional reserve banking. So it's just terrible, whatever. But it's just, well, you can skirt around regulations. That's mostly it. But if you're like, well, what about stablecoin for different services and buying goods? And what if Dash were a stablecoin or had a stablecoin? Well, first off, we got to think about no one cared about that stuff back in the day because crypto didn't have any value. People just thought this is worthless, stupid monopoly money. No one cares. It's digital tokens of nonsense. It's not backed by anything. And so then it started to gain value. And then people are like, all right, well, now it's like kind of like real money in a way. And then it gained a lot of value. And then people were like, oh, I want everything in crypto. I want to swipe my debit card at places, you know, Jimmy Song style. I want to do the song way of paying for stuff. But I want it backed by Bitcoin. Or any other coin. I want the crypto because it's going to go up. It's like the valuable stuff. It's the sound money that's going to go up. I want that background. I don't want it stable. I want it to be, inflating with the value going up over time. And then the value just absolutely took off and people were like, woohoo, bitch. And then at some point, the value tanked and people were like, we need a stable coin. And it's like, yeah, but first off, lest we forget the thing that I like to say all the time and people are tired of hearing, but during Brexit, Bitcoin was more stable than the British pound. So, and now it's during its peak usage time. Its peak time of, late 2016. There's a lot of people using it. The fees hadn't gotten crazy. Yeah, it was great. Peak times. Now, you get this kind of stuff used all the time. I mean, think about most of the currencies. Like, people say, oh, man, the dollar's getting smashed today. Oh, the dollar's doing terrible. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, like, what? It went down like 1/10 of a percentage point in a day. So now my, my 100 euros can buy like a few cents more. It's just like, oh, really? That's like the volatility because it's like very not volatile because there's just so much velocity. It's being used everywhere. People need it for non-speculative reasons. So the more that happens, the more it'll stabilize out to where you don't need a stable coin or you don't have a want for it. And in fact, you're willing to take small dips once in a while because your business isn't losing out. You're not like losing your whole life in your skin because overall it's going up over time. Just versus fiat currency, or rather, it doesn't have to go up. It just has to do the same because fiat's tanking all the time. That's kind of what makes it fiat, is it's always tanking against something that's like. So I think the stable coins are just a weird temporary measure that can have some benefits, but people.
Is it a fad? Is it people seeing projects like Binance Token and Maker doing well? So they're like, we spoke about this before and we recall back when people were saying, oh, that should integrate SegWit. We should do that. That sounds like a really good idea. And we'll get attention if we do this. And we're like, yeah, that will probably, yeah. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, I don't know if it's a Dash stablecoin talk is definitely a fad. But stablecoin general talk, I don't know if the fad is the exact word I would use. I'd probably use something more like a sign of the times, a current tool. It's just like, people talk about chip cards and everyone needs a chip card reader or whatever. And then everyone knows the tap and pay thing now. And before you know it, there won't be cards at all. There'll be like payment apps. You get your little microchip or, you got your little, like the last avatar, last airbender thing on your head. You go beep and scan. you're gonna have whatever else, but it's like a sign of the times, just like you know, just like everyone with an encrypted privacy something, which is funny because I think that that's actually going to be a good long-term innovation that people are going to start using. Is, for example, privacy, advanced privacy, and I wouldn't feel that weird about saying also probably encryption based advanced privacy. That could be around for a while, but there was a time when everyone was like, we've got our own little thing. We use the snarks too. And just like everything was a smart contract platform, that was definitely a fad. And now it's just like, well, you got like EOS, and then you got of course Ethereum. And yeah, we'll see what happens with those. We'll see which one wins out, what's going on. But like, it's not like everything has to be a smart contract platform. Do you remember the IoT rush that IOTA kicked off?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, let me be like, a little bit brutal.
Everything's gonna have it, even your fridge, the Internet of Things.
Yeah, and let me be a little bit brutal. No, IOTA came out, and all of a sudden, people heard of the term Internet of Things, pretended to know what it meant, and that it was going to be the future, but still had absolutely no idea of what the hell they were talking about. And now, since they don't talk about it, they've reverted back to their fully former state of constant line of ignorance and a little dip in like interest in rhetoric. But like at that time, everything was Internet of Things. You're going to use this to send microtransactions, the sensors on the satellite here, and everyone was that's just the next big thing. And now people are like, oh, no one talks about IOTA specifically. I mean, for the most part, but also no one just, oh, is Bitcoin Cash going to do Internet of Things? Or no one cares. No, they're just on other things. And eventually, you're going to have, I don't think the anti-51% attack proofing idea is ever going to get its hype day. I think that, I mean, unless BTC does it, but that's kind of funny. But I think that with that specific innovation, like chain locks, I think it's going to be things start getting attacked, and then quickly put in a little thing to fix it in some way, like a rolling checkpoint, or like you just elect Charlie Lee as a formal leader of Litecoin. He gets to sign off on transactions, something like that. But like they'll start to actually evolve, but I don't think it's gonna be a big splashy thing. So what do you think, Mark? What's the next big thing as far as hype? Like just everyone's about this one thing for a long time. Remember when Schnorr was a big thing?
There always seems to be new trends and new products and stuff. Right now, everyone seems to be talking about the recent SEC paper and what that means. I haven't read into it. I've seen lots of people commenting on Twitter. Seems to be kind of positive. Some people are saying it was a bit of a contradiction. Right now, as I say in the community, people ask me about stable coins, but it's from a different side. Like some people are talking about it because I think they're diversified. In other ones, I see people talking about Maker token a lot. And then I see people from the other side, and I see in the live chat people are talking about stable coins from a merchant's perspective. Although there is one comment here from Jacob Ballou. Whoa, Vega Wallet, Mr. Vega Wallet in the house. He's saying most merchants don't care about stable coins. If they want something worth $1, they'll stick with $1. They'll accept crypto based on user acquisition and increased CVR. So he's got a point. And Vega Pay. So hopefully we'll get an update on that soon, because that sounded rather promising. And and hopefully some of you watching the podcast with Jacob the other week submitted some entries for some themes. I know there was some tweets out there replacing the Vega bot thing with a picture of me. It was quite funny.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So what's going to be way better? It's going to completely obsolete the concept of a merchant stablecoin, right? Not just like a trader stablecoin, because that will exist as long as you have government regulations on exchanges that do not apply to stablecoins, or until Tether falls into a blaze of horrific glory and takes the whole market down. People just get burned and don't use stablecoins. One or the other. So this is what's going to do it, right? Right now, as a merchant, you have this weighing two different things. You're weighing, I want money that's going to stay, that I'm going to be able to pay my bills with tomorrow and the day after and the month after. I don't want volatility because it'll wreck my business. Or I don't want volatility because then, or I don't want unaccounted volatility because then the government's going to screw me. Okay, I understand that. But on the other hand, you're like, I want to take crypto because it's faster and cheaper and like everyone wants it and it's just cool. So you have those two things to balance. And so you got to do one or the other, right? And so, for example, most merchants in my local area just take the crypto and hold on to it and spend it and don't touch filthy dirty fiat with it, which is straight. Or they do once in a while. I'll convert once in a while, like hit up my guy who would give me a bale of cash for it or whatever. It's like, that's kind of it. But what if you could do both? What if you could program your bills and expenses in, like an automatically programmable bills and expenses into your point of sale software, so that if you got a payment in crypto, it would and it was of enough of a size, it would instantly go pay off one of your bills with it that could accept it. So you wouldn't have to convert to dollars, whatever, and then you wouldn't have to pay that. You could just do the no fees for the payment, pretty much. And so, or say you have an employee who wants to take crypto for salary, and you're just like, all right, well, I'll see how many hours you've earned so far, and then whenever they get paid within like a certain time frame, it just automatically pays them crypto. But if the price starts to become too volatile, it'll just instantly cash that out. Or if it's over too long a time frame, it'll just turn it into fiat. But it'll like try to pay a bill first, and then the rest is fiat. And then eventually, then that is your stable coin right there. The only reason you want a stable coin as a merchant is because you want to be able to go in and out of crypto. You want to convert so it's stable, but then you don't want to just flip it around. You don't want to just spend all those fees or take all that time. You want to like have your cake and eat it too. And so if you could just pay bills right away in an automated, smooth fashion, that would do most of the trick.
Do you remember, well, let's talk about stable coins. I just had a memory. Do you remember we funded the Dash network funded for 2 Ripple payment gateways?
Yeah.
Like, whatever happened to that? I mean,
one of them's up.
I'm pretty sure they're both active. I just don't know whether they're being utilized or not, because the people were saying about transacting money. It was just the stable coins got me thinking about that. Just thinking, well, from the merchant side, I can understand why some people might argue for it, but there are solutions now in place by merchants, by different community projects that are utilizing. We saw Dash Thailand recently with the recent announcement of Winstant Pay, and they're utilizing them for their merchant adoption for on-ramps, off-ramps, to really help the situation. But yeah, for a long time, people thought that the Ripple gateways were going to help out in some way, just the way the Ripple banking network works, right? Which was kind of like A to B, and it finds the cheapest mechanism to do that in between, right? So, but then it never really came with anything. I don't even know if people are even using that anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've seen them online, but that's the other thing, is like, don't get me started on like a Ripple rant, because I don't know. I always hear this rumor, oh, this bank's using it, this bank's integrating it. Just sounds like a lot of integration type hype. But then like, who's actually using it? And then the whole, XRP token, we're going to go like big into talking about that as a decentralized currency so the SEC doesn't destroy us for being illegal security. Okay, well, who's buying stuff with XRP? I mean, some hobbyist type, there's a little bit, but like no one really cares to do that. It's not what it's for. And it's like all this like, but XRP, Ripple can do all this kind of cool stuff. And I research it a little bit, and it looks legit. Just who's doing it? Who is actually doing it? And so I think there was a time when people were like, Ripple protocol will be so great. You'll be able to like do all this stuff and use Dash and move in and out of Dash so easily, and like finding whatever route of payment or whatever. And then just like, but who actually did it? Anyone? Yeah. Does anyone know someone who has actually used Ripple for anything that's not speculative? Yes, I mean, because they might exist, but I just haven't met them yet, and I would enjoy meeting them.
Yeah, I don't think in the mainstream sense, maybe some kind of bank or institution may have utilized something, but in terms of like civilians, I don't think there has been really. Not that I'm aware of anyway.
Yes, well, even that though is banks and institutions, that works fine too. Is there one bank that's like always moving stuff that's like the one thing they're using now? They're happy to use it. They want to keep using it. It's just like that's all they're doing. If so, are there more banks? Is everyone jumping on board? Is like, because at that point, and more importantly in all this, who's getting paid for it? Like, are they burning XR? Are they actually using the XRP token? Are they actually burning those fees? Or are they just paying for the company Ripple to do all this stuff? I don't know. I just have no idea. But I think we're getting into rambly territory. We should probably end up jettisoning and transferring to the after party now. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I just want to wrap up with just one last thing. So Jacob commented after our little tangent there, saying RPOS, as in the Vega Pay solution, allows businesses to set up billing, reoccurring payments, and cash out at the end of the day to pay their bills, since most utilities won't accept crypto for a bit. And yeah, it's all about extra added value that you can integrate into these point of sale solutions. No one's going to switch like night to day. It's not just going to happen overnight. There has to be a transition period. So we have to assist merchants by making their life easier, by making it almost plug and play, so they don't even have to think about it. So that's how we onboard, and that's how we slowly bring on the mass adoption. You have any thoughts on that, Joel?
Yes, that's exactly it. You start making new payments and new systems. And that's the thing, is I could just think about contact lists and usernames and all the kind of evolution-y goodness that's just going to make that so easy. And so, for example, what happens if you run like a business and you just have all these like bills you need to pay, and then you can just add them all to your little crypto thing, add them all to your little Dash wallet, and then you just go, if someone's going to pay you, like, oh, can I pay the rent this month in crypto? Or first you just say, I take rent in crypto. You just go, boom, you get all the rent payments, and then you just instantly go pay, because it's just so easy and cheap. And then you're like, sweet, all right, I got this much left, and I need to not have that fluctuate. I'm going to dump it into like fiat in the bank account, right? And then you just go for that, and eventually you're just going to have more things you can pay. Like, and in fact, you can pay everything. And then, okay, there's very little move back. And then eventually you're like, well, but odds are it's probably not going to go down. It's probably going to, could go up though. So I'm just going to kind of hold on to that. And then all of a sudden, hey, peer-to-peer digital cash running the whole world.
You know what I think? I think this podcast is great and everything, but it's just missing one thing. And one thing I really wish that we had, I just wish we had someone like a leading authority or someone that really understood Dash Evolution and the dApps that could just tell us everything that was going on and what's about to occur.
Oh,
I just wish we had something like that. I really feel like we need that. Don't you? Don't you think we need something like that?
For our next podcast, absolutely.
What? Wait, what's this? So for the Dash News podcast, episode 100, something spectacular is happening.
Yeah, why not?
And what's going to happen on episode 100 next Friday on the Dash News podcast?
All I can say, I'm going to be, and I like to not overpromise in case something happens, like someone else gets trapped in a room somewhere and slowly suffocates to death. Hopefully not. But you remember the whole Microsoft thing of developers? How about dApps? That's all I'm going to say.
Excellent. I'm really looking forward to next Friday. And if all goes to plan, it should be good. And we're going to have the leading authority talking about Dash dApps. Doesn't get any better than this. So make sure you tune in next Friday. Sadly, Demelza didn't make it back. I hope she's safe. She hasn't replied to my last Twitter message. So after we get off this, I'm probably going to send her another ping just to make sure everything's okay. But
if you're out there listening to this at some point, Demelza, you're free to come back to PorkFest and you'll have a good old time.
Excellent. Well, so Joelle, would you like to take us out?
Yes, absolutely. If you enjoyed this strange turn of events podcast, number 99 of the Dash News podcast, then absolutely like, comment, share, and subscribe. Those 4 things. All of those things. Like it, you got to smash for Dash. You got to comment, say something about, Mark's choice of hairstyle today. Share it so other people can actually see it. And then, of course, subscribe so you get all of them. You get the notification there because we have a lot of interesting stuff that goes on here. Also, the audio-only version comes out tomorrow. You have all the links, and not the desert links, but the links. And you can go listen to that while you're on the treadmill or whatever, running along and completely missing out on all the Vega Wallet demonstrations when they are there. But for the most part, this is just talking. So do that. And then now is time for the party of after, the after party, where we just do this, but instead of just, 2 lonely Dash drones ranting at each other, it's a whole 10 lonely Dash drones wasting their Friday away together. But it's a good time. You get lots of insight, lots of gossip, lots of terms like Smash for Dash getting probably invented and popularized in there. So if you want to be part of the cool kids, go to staydashy.com. You get to Dash Talk Discord, the good Discord, and just ask around, say, where's the after party? I want in. And just be prepared to have your camera and your microphone or you don't need a camera, but at least a microphone, because so many people pop into after party and they're completely unaware. They just, oh, sorry guys, I don't have microphone camera set up, or they just open their thing. Oh, sorry guys, I got my shirt off and I'm not in shape, or whatever it is. Just know what you're getting into before you ask to get in there.
That only happened once.
Nah, more than once. I remember a couple.
Right. Wow. Well, I'd like to extend a thank you to Demelza Hayes for joining us for the first 30 minutes, I think,
yes, rest in peace.
Of the podcast. I hope she's okay. That was episode 100 of the Dash News podcast. And as Joelle said, if you found this to be informative, if you've enjoyed it, what should they do, Joelle?
Smash for Dash.
Smash for Dash. Press that like button and don't forget to share and subscribe. If you want to be notified about future videos, then next to that subscribe button, there is a bell. If you hit that notification bell, you will get notified next time the podcast is up in your YouTube stream. So I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend wherever you are in the world. Stay positive, stay humble, but most importantly, stay dashy. Have a good weekend, everyone.
See y'all later.
Cheerio.